Hi, folks, and welcome to Film Optimist, where we talk about all things film with a generous dose of optimism. I'm your co-host, Seth Boyd.
I am Megan Tierney Flores. I have to remember to say
It's,
that.
I should acknowledge real quick, you might hear some episodes coming out of order in a while where Megan
That's
does not
true.
have her whole new name, and that's just that was recorded a while ago that we're finally getting through. So
Very
apologies for any
true.
confusion there. Megan did
I
not
think
get
we're up.
divorced in a very short time.
Yeah, really. I think we're in coordination order here, but like
Yes,
I just gotta yeah, I gotta remember to say it. So I'll keep
right.
practicing here, folks.
Yes, it's a fun new thing to say. So,
Yeah,
we
really.
are at one of our favorite episodes we do every year, our top five episode. And folks, if you need a reminder, if you've never listened to one of these before, we're doing our top five movies we saw in 2024, not necessarily movies that came out in 2024. There probably will be some, but
Hmm.
we might talk about movies from the 30s, from the 70s, wherever. So,
Hmm.
um, just our top movies we saw. And Megan, how difficult was this list to do for you this year? Because this gets harder and harder for me every year.
It was difficult. I'm surprising Seth now, folks, by saying that I really I saw a lot of films in theater in
Yeah.
2024. It's my like goal has been to try and narrow down. So this year I did it. I did try to do only 2024 movies
Oh, did you?
and
Okay.
that I see in
Fantastic.
theater. Yeah. And I will say I'm proud of the I'm happy with the list. Like I said,
Hmm.
like we were talking about that it is hard. It like this is a rough
Yeah.
thing to do just to rank things and stuff like that. Especially this little challenge for me is particularly hard. But I'm happy with
Right.
my list. I thought it was a fairly good year for movies, and
Yeah.
I just thought to try and do it for we're getting out of COVID era and
Hmm.
we're getting out of strikes. So I think that I have had
Right.
really good movie going experiences in 2024, and I want to try to stay up to speed with it, I guess. In ways
Sure.
that I used to be so top movies of the year, I would have it kind of down.
Yeah.
So it was my little personal challenge, but I will say that um more than half I think are like remakes or
Oh, really?
a part of something, which
Sure.
one of our biggest spiels on this thing is how much we crave new and original film, and I still stand by that statement. But I just was happy. I'm like I say, I stand by this list. Having said that,
Yeah.
half of them are remakes. Like I know the irony
Okay.
of that, I guess, for myself, but I'm kind of ready to die on the hill
Sure.
for these picks. So I'm excited to talk to Seth
Okay.
about it as always.
Fantastic. I'm excited to get in because, like, yeah, I would actually love to eventually do like a best remake episode with you because my
Ooh, that's
go-to
a
poll for this is the version of Maltese Falcon that everyone thinks of as being the only version. The Humphrey
oh
Bogart was the third version of that movie.
oh my god, that's third
And yeah,
at
and the
that.
first two, my understanding, weren't even necessarily flops or anything. It was a different angle.
Hmm.
It's the characterization of Sam Spade is pretty different in that adaptation than the book. But yeah,
That's
like
funny.
that was within like 10 years, there's three versions of it. And
Yeah,
once you have Humphrey Bogart, John Huston combo, everyone's like, well, that's who Sam Spade is. That's who Maltese
yeah,
Falcon is. So
yep.
all right. Well, maybe why don't you start us off?
Sure, and we'll go in our reverse order here, folks. So
Yeah.
top is number one. So this is my number five, as always, and I gave it out to. I'm like laughing at my list already, but I'm giving it out to Inside Out 2, which I was really
Okay.
excited to see. I thought the first one was good. I thought Inside Out
Yeah.
2 was fantastic. I
Okay.
think that it hits on emotionality in a very
Mm,
innovative way. I think that it's not gimmicky. Like I think
mm,
people could have like looked at it and said like it's for it's a nostalgia kick. It's like gimmicky about your
sure.
own relatability, and to
Mm,
some extent I can see that. I thought it was extremely relatable, but I also thought it was very original. Like I didn't find it gimmicky in that way.
okay.
This is of course the sequel to the really popular Disney Pixar Inside Out, which is about
Mm,
the like characterizations of different emotions, but in the sequel our main character Riley is like growing up and experiencing uh like teenagehood for the first time and all the
Uh,
craziness that comes with that. So it was really just sweetly done the way that they talk about it, and like I said, not it wasn't like too educational, I guess is a weird like that
mm,
kind of sounds
yeah,
like it could be like a weird cheesy like health class film or something like that. It's definitely not that. They rely on storytelling a lot more, and it was just well done. We like it from like my sister's like a psychologist, and so she loves like when things are portrayed correctly but like accurately, I guess, but still are just so much fun. And it talks about anxiety and like it shows like a panic attack basically on camera pretty like well done. So it was just one that it was also just very highly anticipated for myself, and
sure.
it didn't disappoint at all. It wasn't a flop, certainly. Like in the franchise, as it's kind of like a natural progression too of like how emotions work and as you grow. So
Sure.
I and many other, and it was a great movie going experience. Like I think people uh touted it for the right reasons. And it was just a really fun release of 2024. It was a good like a good one for Disney, which might be in a little bit of a weird period right now, but I do
Yeah,
really enjoy Disney Pixar films, and was happy to see a good like addition to their collection.
fantastic. Glad to hear that. Um, yeah, I have not seen this one yet. Are they still in San Francisco for this one?
Yeah, they are.
Uh,
Yeah, they are. I had to think
okay.
about it for a sec because it's kind of like a summer camp
Oh,
experience
that's cool.
going on.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very cool. Excited to see that one. I was going to ask what Natalie thought of. So glad we have the psychologist
I know.
approval in this
My
one. The,
our characters like in our
yeah,
little film optimist world. Yep, she
right,
approves.
exactly. um, the first one was a movie that I, for whatever reason, put off watching, and then finally watched. Like, oh yeah, that was great. Everyone was right. So I'll
Yeah,
I'll need to get to the
that's how I
second one
felt
as
about
well.
it too. Right, right.
Okay,
Okay.
so my first movie is an indie film noir I've been wanting to watch for a long time called
Ooh,
Detour. Have you heard of this one, Megan? This is, I think, really up your alley.
I don't I don't know if I have. I may have to look at the
Yeah,
art
so
or something.
um this is a very indie movie from 1945.
Ooh,
Edgar Hoomer is the director. A lot of not exactly unknown actors, but no major stars here. People who were in a lot of low budget movies.
mhm.
Um, Tom Neal and Anne Savage, which is apparently her actual name. She plays the most savage person I've ever seen. It's an incredible movie.
Cool.
This is a 68-minute long movie that cost at the time somewhere around $20,000. So this is a very
Oh,
indie movie, especially for the
yes.
40s. And it's a guy having the most like the worst luck. This is kind of the opposite of the Hitchhiker, the movie we did, where or it's kind of similar that the main guy um is a jazz pianist in New York. His girlfriend says, I've got this kind of opportunity to try and make a break into Hollywood. I'm going. You should come with me. He initially says no. A few months later, he's like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get out there, and starts hitchhiking and has the worst luck and decisions and gets caught
Oh
up in
wow.
multiple murders and just
Nice.
a classic film noir of an absolute loser getting beaten up by the world. And uh,
Mm.
he is gets picked up by the wrong person and then ends up picking up the wrong person later in the movie. And I'll try to avoid spoilers, but I did not see this coming, anything that kind of happens in this movie, but it largely ends up being this very uncomfortable dynamic where he's picked up a woman who knows he's not who he's pretending to be.
Nice.
So at one point he does come into some money, finds nicer clothes, and knows that he's lying. So she's got this blackmail over him, and has a scheme she wants him to be involved in. And
Hmm.
it's an incredible kind of film school of a movie because again, it was shot so cheaply, so effectively.
Nice.
You really just have two people in it for most of the movie, maybe a four characters with names total, but very effective. So it was a movie that was unrestored for decades. So if you've heard of
Mm.
this and you've seen maybe a rough images from it, it is a now recently restored, looks fantastic film. So highly recommend checking out
Oh,
Detour.
nice. Yes. I looked
Yeah.
it up I looked up the art just now. I think it looks familiar, so maybe it's gotten a little bit more like love maybe after the
Yeah.
the restoration
Yes, I
aspect
think
of it.
so.
That's interesting. Oh, it looks good. No, that sounds that I agree. That's fun. That's always so much fun. The kind of story that you mentioned.
Right. Also, it's under 70 minutes. It's crazy how
Yeah,
short this movie is and how effective it is. And it never
yeah,
felt like it was going too fast or anything. So very impressed
right.
by it.
Pretty rare runtime these days,
Yeah.
including
Hmm.
leading into my next film. So that my number four pick is gonna go to Wicked, and I know that
Okay.
and it's on a lot of people's lists. And I went into this movie says very much thinking that it was going to be bad with a B, like bad.
Yeah.
And this, and I was pleasantly surprised. I had seen the musical like when it came
Mhm.
to San Francisco, which had
Yeah.
really good memories. I forgot how
Great.
good the music of this musical is. I think I really like
Yeah.
mostly I would say like just the score, not necessarily like the individual songs.
Okay.
I just love the background score of this film so much. It's really beautiful. Whoever scored this movie did a good job in making adapting it to theater. It sounded in my theater, I went to like a normal screening of it. It sounded really loud in the right like way. So I just the sound design of this
Mm.
movie was really helped it. The set design of this movie was a real surprise to me. It was not it was really carefully like curated. It wasn't all like a CG monstrosity that I thought it was going to be
Oh,
going
okay.
into it.
I
It
thought that
was
would be that from the trailer as well.
that was the capital to be with the bad that I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I was very pleasantly surprised. There was a lot I get too that it's a little bit like there was a lot of controversy around like that the trailer looked so insanely different
Mm.
than the theatrical release. This is also one that I can't imagine like them condensing it down to get to a I'm in other words, I'm probably not going to watch it on TV. It's meant to be
Yeah.
watched in the theater,
Okay.
like I kind of only because it is actually
Yeah.
very expansive and they have beautiful like intricate set designs which were really
Hmm.
fun and
Yeah.
original. Like I thought that was great about it. So it was a really important like for me theater watch of this year and I was so pleasantly surprised by it that I was blown away. Acting was great as well. There were no like um it wasn't it wasn't cheesy like that which I was going into it pretty cynically basically, but it
Yeah.
wasn't any of like it had a lot of heart to it. So it was just it was such a pleasant surprise of how enjoyable it was
Yeah.
that I was reminded of how really it's just like the specifically for me the score shines but like how much the music of this musical really shines and I think the director is John M. Chu who did Crazy Rich Asians and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm glad it was him. Like I think he did a great job and
Uh,
I'm very glad that it went to him. I think it was like the right choice in this regard evidently. So
nice.
happy for like his accolades that he's getting for this.
Good. I looked up real quick. The score specifically was done by John Powell. So shout out to John Powell.
Mhm.
I'm glad to hear you say all of that, especially you thought it was going to be bad because I definitely thought it was going to be a bad movie. I have not seen it yet, but
Yeah.
from the trailer, from the images, like what's going on here was kind of
Oh
my
yeah.
understanding. And then the news that it's going to have a sequel and
Yep.
that may be as long. It's like and
Yeah.
I never saw the musical. Um, something people who know me about is I will say I don't like musicals, and then I'll be crying watching a musical, and I hate this about myself. It's something about musical music gets me
I- oh, I
in a way,
agree.
even if I don't like the
Hmm.
song. But it's like everything about this is to elicit emotion, and I have that reaction even if I don't actually like the music. So
Yep.
it's
That
often like an unpleasant experience for me to watch one.
this will be one then if you do end up watching
Yeah,
it.
probably.
It's a little like it tries to it's successful in making people cry, I
Yeah.
feel as though.
Okay.
And that's
Well,
kind
you
of
can
like a
imagine
part
I
of
don't do
it.
it often in public. This is from the
Yeah,
shame of my
really.
own living around. So,
That's fine.
but
That's
no, I'm glad
totally
to hear
fine.
it.
The music's beautiful. Even if you want to dip your toes into like listening to the soundtrack or
Sure,
something, I recommend.
that's fair.
Yep.
Great. Well, fantastic. Glad to hear you saw that. Also, I'm really glad to hear you're seeing some of the bigger movies from this year that I missed. So
I
we
think
have
it'll
some coverage.
it's very like our personalities too, Seth, I
Yeah,
realize. So like I think this is great. I love the mix.
great. Okay. Um, my next movie, you might you might have heard of this one. This
Hmm.
La Chimera. Have you heard of this movie?
Look, I
The
don't think
lead
so.
is Josh O'Connor, who I think was in Challengers. I have not
Oh
seen
yeah,
him in
yeah, yeah.
anything before. So
Hmm.
yeah, actually I realized like oh, that movie becoming popular.
He's
Um
great.
yeah, so I was like, oh, this guy's fantastic. And I this was a movie that uh I remember how I think Anne had just heard about it, but this is
Okay.
a Italian movie directed by Alice Warwasher. Apologies if I'm getting that wrong. That
Mhm.
is set in the 1980s, and it's Josh O'Connor plays this British guy who is um, was originally an archaeologist, once in academia, and for kind of vague reasons is no longer professionally doing that. It is now just with a group of looters
Mm.
for the Christian artifacts, not Roman artifacts, particularly Etruscan artifacts. Sorry, in
Oh.
in Italy, and this is a really beautiful movie that has some really great surreal moments that are often unexpected, and it really hits that kind of peak of 60s Italian surrealism of where there's a real one, the surrealism is really great, like the moment that's happening that he's interacting with these characters that can't be there. It's beautiful, it's poetic, and it's very unexpected, and the movie goes back to being a kind of normal movie. So you have a lot of
Yeah.
beautiful moments like that that very much remind me of a Fellini or a Pasolini. But it's this really beautiful movie of this guy
Mm.
who was grieving um, uh, a relationship in this very strange world. But it's a movie that I didn't know really anything about before watching. Loved it, and it's my opinion changed on nearly every character like 3 or 4 times. But ultimately, he is such an enduring and charismatic actor that even though he's kind of brooding and people are trying to help him out, he's pushing it off. He's still one very attractive
Yeah.
man and a very charismatic person. We talked about her a lot in our Blue Velvet episode, but Israel Rossellini's also in this as well, and she's fantastic. And
Oh.
it's great to see she had such a great couple years with this in Conclave. This came out 2023, but I loved it. That was very beautiful, a very poetic movie that was not afraid to be um, a little bit dense, artistically. That did not need to give a clear answer on what's exactly happening here, but it also
Yeah.
just raises a lot of beautiful questions about art and who owns art. There's a reason why you don't want just some drunk looters digging up these artifacts,
Yeah.
and you have these people who are in many ways very knowledgeable of it, but also don't respect it. And this brought up some interesting questions about museums and uh, why do we do things certain ways? Because obviously, the artifacts should belong to people, but also, well, they're breaking shit, you know,
Hmm.
and the
Yeah.
black market behind all this and how they're being deeply exploited. So it brought up a lot of questions. It also is this fun vagabond group that he's with. So I just loved it, and of course, it's shot in beautiful Italy. I apologize if I can't be more specific. I don't remember where exactly, but just a really beautiful, surprising movie. And this director Alice Warwasher is, I think this is maybe her third or fourth movie, so always
Hmm.
excited to have another new voice in film.
Yeah.
Excited to see more of her movie. It's almost entirely in Italian. Occasionally, Josh O'Connor has lines in English, but mostly it's in Italian.
Cool. Oh wow. I hadn't heard about it and that it's so new too. I Josh O'Connor, I'll reveal that like I saw him in Challengers. Challengers is on my like honorable mentions.
Okay,
I'm itching almost to switch it because like it was he
yeah,
is really 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 good in that movie.
Mm,
and like kind of a star. Like I mean,
okay.
he's one of the main characters, but he's
Yeah.
like kind of a star in
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Break, you know, out of all, there's kind of a trio of them. He kind of stands
Yeah.
out. So like that's pretty
Okay.
that's exciting to see.
Yeah, I think you'll like this because I instantly realized, oh, that's why everyone's talking about this guy. This guy's great. He's very
Yeah.
captivating.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Good for
Yeah.
him. That's cool. I'm excited
Yeah.
to add that to the watch list. That's cool, Seth.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Absolutely.
cool. Oh, dang. Maybe I should move my picks because challenges of
Well, I
2024.
mean, yeah, well, we definitely do have our honorable mentions, and
Yes.
I have a few that were. I will say I had like maybe 8 movies that was very difficult for me to narrow
I
down.
know.
So, yeah,
Oh, yeah. I think I I think I have about the same, either 8 or
yeah,
9 on there, which we'll rattle off at the end, folks. So stay tuned for that if you want.
yep,
But I will stay true to my list that I have uh, died on the scale for, like I said.
yeah.
But I feel good about number 3. So number 3 is my
All right.
probably most anticipated. I went with Furiosa, a Mad Max
Mm,
saga.
hell yeah.
And it was a wonderful, wonderful movie. Again, probably maybe the most highly anticipated on my list. I will say now that I think Seth and I had talked about it on the podcast too. I just love Mad Max Fury Road so
Mm,
much. I think that like it was not as good a watch for me, and I watch Mad Max on my laptop, Fury Road. So like, but how incredible to see like to properly see a Mad Max film in theaters.
yeah, yeah,
It's so necessary to see it in theaters. I will just keep like touting that like there are some movies that I just have now basically no desire to ever watch again almost because of how important it was for me to see them in like in theaters in a proper setting, and I
yeah.
this is one of them for me. I it was nothing against like the story as well. I love to hear the backstory of Furiosa, who is an incredible
Sure.
like female character that I thought was like
Mm,
so important in Mad Max Fury Road. That's kind of like that was a big reason why I loved that movie so much is Furiosa. So of course I was so excited for a full film about it, but I think that this one just had like some pacing elements because
mm,
it goes through a whole span of lifetime, whereas like
yeah.
Fury Road is like how we talked about in our episode about it. Go watch it, guys. Is that it's like it takes place within maybe a couple days. It's like a chase
Right.
sequence,
Fury
basically the
Road.
whole
Yeah.
thing. So all that aside, like it the Furiosa is still so like competent, and it's also the best thing I've seen Chris Hemsworth in a very long time. I loved seeing the
Yeah.
craziness of him as like a crazy warlord. The set design was amazing. They
Hmm.
really uh did a good job of like characterizing these these people and just making it very interesting and like giving a very satisfying ending that could have been done more. Maybe nowadays it would have been like more maybe like sweet or something, which is weird,
Sure.
and they didn't do that, thank God, and it
Hmm.
was like bloody and like savage and exactly what was needed. So I just like all the direction of it. I appreciated it, and it was such a good watch in theaters. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
No, I'm glad that's on your list. I loved it as well. And I didn't go to that many movies last year. This is definitely one of them. But like I also loved every movie that I saw in theaters this year. So
Oh good,
I maybe
yeah.
only went to like
Yeah.
10 or something. Last year I should say. But no, I thought I fully agree with you on everything you said. It was fantastic watch, and I'll just second your endorsement. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Chris Hemsworth especially, just because it's like been so
mm,
kind of been so long to see him in
yeah,
something like this, so it was just great.
it's I think I don't remember what episode where you recommended this,
I
but
know,
I
yeah.
think I mentioned if you want to see Chris Hemsworth as an adult movie again, the Michael Mann movie Black Cat was I thought really
Yes.
good. It got all the weird bad reviews of that all boil down to, well, why is a hacker as hot as Chris Hemsworth? Which is like, why is this the negative thing? Like people in movies are always more beautiful than
Yeah,
people. This
really.
is a really dumb reason to also how many hackers do you know in New York Times
Yeah.
wrote? So
Right?
um but anyways, I thought that was a maybe a misunderstood movie when it came out, but it was a very fun, tight crime
Yeah.
thriller with him.
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And thanks for the reminder too. You kind of forget too. Like it's almost
Yeah.
like when Marvel takes you over, that's kind of their whole thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's my bad
Well,
to
like we
not know know what he's done
well,
besides
it's like
it.
we talked about with we mentioned Oppenheimer a few times, and so much of the fun of that movie to me
Uh-huh.
was seeing Robert Downey Jr. in one of his very rare non-Iron Man roles, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, he's already going back to being a completely different Marvel character.
Tr-
I don't
That's
understand
yeah.
that, but he did that, and then the show. I really loved the Sympathizer, directed by
Okay.
Park Chan Wook, the Park Chan Wook, sorry, the director of Dishes No Leave and Old Boy. He did
Okay.
this miniseries on Marvel that, or I'm sorry, on Max HBO that Robert Downey Jr. plays, I think, 6 or 7 characters in, and I loved it. I was very happy to see him do something very bold and strange like this, and
Nice.
then now he's gonna be back to playing a Marvel villain. I don't get it. Or like we had this very brief window of him doing something else, and
Uh,
back to the old, back to the mines.
it's a
Marvel.
mafia.
Yeah.
It's a mafia.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna do my third movie now.
Mhm.
We're gonna go back a little bit further. I'm gonna do Don't Look Now. This is a movie from 1971, sorry,
Okay.
73, directed by Nicholas Roeg, starring Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland. And this is a movie that I avoided watching for a long time because I, for whatever reason, thought I knew what the ending was. I don't remember where initially. I thought it was a dumb ending. And I say this because
Mhm.
it's kind of a famous movie ending. If you ever stumble upon a list of like best twists or whatever, this is
Mm.
going to be there. And the format I read this in really undersold what actually happens. And so I remember being like a
Mm.
12-year-old reading about this, thinking like, yeah, I can skip this one. And I ended up watching this like I think a week or two before Donald Sutherland died. I always loved Donald Sutherland, and so
Oh,
I rewatched it now a couple times since then because
yeah.
he's frankly very good. And Julie Christie's great as well. But it's a great movie. It's a tight, I should say, it is a very interesting thriller with a
Hmm.
supernatural element. That the main plot here is Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland's daughter dies at the beginning of the movie. She drowns,
Mm.
and he's an architect. They then are kind of trying to get over it. They go to Venice. They're living there. He's working on a church, and out of nowhere, these two um, older British women approach them and say, "We can." My one of the sisters is blind. They say, she can communicate with the other side, and your daughter wants you to know she's really happy and everything's fine.
Mm.
And they had just have very similar to Hereditary. They have very split ideas of how do we take this information, and Donald Sutherland's really coping with like my mm, uh, you know, grieving wife is finding this good news. I think this is horrifying. Who are these creeps who are wanting to come up to us saying this? This is disgusting, but
Yes.
also she seems happy. Um, and so it just plays with a lot of, kind of questions of that. And are these people con artists? Are they actually seeing the other side or what? And I just really loved it. And it's a movie that kind of challenged my expectations a lot. They're both very good in it. Of course, it's beautiful 70s Venice. It is
Nice.
also a movie that the opening scene does really set everything up in a way that I don't think it's clear to you the first time you see it. It's really worth rewatching at least. If you watch it, just watch the first 10 minutes again afterwards, and you'll realize how brilliant it is because it is
Mm.
really well done. And Nicholas Roeg is one of those directors I've only seen 1 or 2 movies from, so I was excited. But I think this is probably their most famous movie, and yeah, it
Okay.
really delivered. So it was a fantastic watch that
Nice.
I think really rewards a second viewing as well. So yeah, Don't Look Now.
Nice. It's nice to get that like redemption too of
Yeah,
I've definitely done that where you read something and you're like, well, that's not for me, like at
yeah,
all. Or I don't want to be disappointed by that. And then
right.
that pleasant surprise is great. So
And
that's
it's just
great.
that the ending felt like in reading it, I thought it was just a complete red herring, non sequitur, random ending. It's not at all. So
Okay. Oh,
um,
very
oh, and
interesting.
it's based off a short story written by Daphne du Maurier, who wrote The Birds and Rebecca, like several
Okay.
things Hitchcock
Yeah.
adapted, and she was adapted many times. But like a good, I think I should say, they also gets a super like a good ghost story mystery writer as
Yes.
well.
Nice. Ooh, very exciting. All right, folks, we're moving on up here. I'm happy, very happy to talk about these. Not that I wasn't before, but like I say, I had um a lot of remakes here, but number two is not any different, but I don't care. It was wonderful to me, and it was I'm gonna go with Gladiator 2 as my number two pick.
Okay.
I uh, again another like pretty big surprise. I enjoyed Gladiator, the first
Sure.
Gladiator. I think that like this movie also it was just kind of like it was just kind of a movie like that I knew I was gonna go see. I think a lot of it's been so long. It's been what like 20 years since the previous Gladiator. Basically, I think like
Yeah, about
maybe
20.
on yeah on the year there. I
Hmm.
think the first one was a it, I couldn't really say that it was like a phenomenon. Like I know it was popular from what I remember, but it
Hmm.
wasn't like it didn't become this giant franchise. It wasn't like it was just kind of a one-off like
Sure.
big blockbuster. Which is
Hmm.
how I felt going into this movie, but I just really really enjoyed it for some maybe it was like the feeling of like craving a good blockbuster, which I think is
Hmm.
I mean, I guess a lot of these are. Certainly Mad Max was, or Furiosa was to
Sure.
me, but like this was another one where I just like kind of had no expectation and then went into it and really remembered why it's fun as well to get a good one, like to get a good big budget. And this is a big movie, like this is a we have huge war sequences and like action sequences. I particularly really really liked the way that they shot the action of this like movie. I really
Hmm.
like now my biggest pet peeve is like quick cuts because I just when we're doing
Yes.
fight sequences and like extremely quick cuts where you just can't see anything at all, and that was not
Right.
very long lingering shots of the action sequences. The plot was kind of fine, like fine enough for me, and enough actually even like good fine, but like
Yeah.
I totally get that like it sort of doesn't make sense. It kind of like
Mm.
does not fall. I think there was an issue where it doesn't really follow the first story like perfectly or
Okay.
something like that. But to me it didn't super matter. It introduced me to Paul Mescal, which thank you, that was great. And I even like sought other movies that he's been in and stuff that he's kind of doing.
Nice.
And I think that he's going to be kind of like thoroughly enjoyed his performance in this, and like I just can feel that he's like a very talented person in my eyes. Like I'm just excited to see what he's going to be in.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a really good job. Denzel's like so entertaining to see in this.
Good.
Um, Basically all the cast, Pedro Pascal is in, and he does a great job. Like I think it was
Oh, I didn't realize he was on it. Nice.
the movie's very well cast, and just entertaining. Like more so than I thought, going into it. So I watched
Nice.
it twice, like in theater. So I just had a really good time with it. I think people laugh that it's like you watch it with your mom to kind of like kick your feet at the hot guys, which is
Oh,
what
yeah.
we did. Like which is
Yeah.
what my mom enjoyed, and I did too. But it was like a good
I
one.
just assumed you watched this with Navi, but I love that. So,
I did as well with my husband, and he didn't quite get it as much as I got it. So second watch was with my mom, and she got it a little more, you know?
amazing. I love
Yeah.
that so much. Well, I have to say, I'm really glad to hear you mention, and I have not seen this one yet. I'm really glad to hear you mention that the fight scenes are shot
Yes.
differently. I say differently because I think that is maybe the biggest thing that doesn't hold up in rewatching the first Gladiator is, which frankly is the way like American movies have kind of often, maybe
Yeah.
always been with action, is because like it's really hard to choreograph.
Yeah.
It's expensive. It takes a lot of time. You need to have very talented people. But there's a reason if you watch, a kung fu movie, the camera's not moving that much, and you're actually seeing
Yep.
people fight
Yeah.
compared to this. So, yeah, I think the fight scenes or the combat scenes do not hold up that well in the first one. There's a little
Okay.
too many fast cuts and like a Marvel movie. But
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think this was a movie I've kind of gone back and forth on because I, folks, if you want to listen to our Alien episode, I vent some of my frustrations with current Ridley Scott, but there's part of it's like maybe
Mm.
I'm just the asshole. I need to get over it and accept this man's giving me a massive spectacle that's fun, and I just need to eat
Yeah.
my popcorn and enjoy it. So
Mm.
it sounds like Gladiator 2 is one of those like it's okay if the plot doesn't make that much sense, just get into it. So I will give this a
Oh,
watch.
I don't blame you. Like I remember you mentioning the historical aspects and like
Yeah,
that's strange to me
right.
kind of. I don't know why that would happen, but this is very like I think there are historical accuracies in it. It's not like a complete
Right.
farce, you know?
Yeah,
And it's just
sure, sure.
it is pretty entertaining. And like not it's within the parameters of like what could happen, very much
Okay.
so. So in that regard, you're like, okay, I get that.
Thanks. Well, you convinced me. I'll watch. I mean, I was already halfway gonna watch it with just Denzel, but
Yeah. Oh, he's really like exceptional in it, I would say.
nice. Okay, are we up onto um our fourth pick, which
We're
is I
on
guess our
your
second pick?
number, yeah, you're number two.
Number two. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect Days by Vim Vendors. This is a really special movie to me for a lot of reasons, and this is a Japanese German production. This is entirely shot in Japan, all Japanese cast, but the director is the German director, Wim Wenders, who's um, been making movies since the 60s, has won a lot of awards. Some of my favorite movies he did are Wings of Desire, Paris,
Mm.
Texas, and American Friend, but he has not really had a narrative hit in decades, maybe since the 90s, early 90s, really 87 maybe, since he's had a critically successful narrative movie. He's made a lot of documentaries, and some of those in the last couple of decades have been very successful, but he's made like he has almost like 15, 20 years worth of movies that did not do well. And I've tried some of them. They're all right. It's like there definitely was this like I don't know what's not working, with this guy who's had such a
Uh-huh.
long career. And then this movie's won a lot of awards, was critically acclaimed. I loved it. So there's definitely this really fun aspect of this guy who's had such a long career having this huge comeback movie.
Mm.
And the lead actor Koji Yakusho has been in a ton of great Japanese movies, including Cure, um, 13 Assassins. I really like this actor, and he's one of his biggest parts he's had in a while too. So
Okay.
um, in addition, I'm going to tell you how this movie came to be. Will tell you the plot. In addition to
Mhm.
being a great filmmaker, Van Winters is also very proficient photographer and often does photography shows. And he's worked a lot in Japan. So actually, the Japanese Tourism Board reached out to him to ask if he wanted to come take photos of these new uh, kind of tourist attraction public bathrooms that they have in Shibuya. And they have these very cool, intricate, modern design, all different public
So
restrooms.
cool.
And he did come out there to take photos and then just started developing the story of a bathroom cleaner, just a janitor who specifically works on these bathrooms in this district. And that's what this movie is. It's a series of vignettes about a man who is middle age,
Mm.
who just cleans his bathrooms and goes about his life. He has this fun little rituals. He reads a lot. He practices his own type of photography. He has his daily rituals, and you have several hints that he's maybe from a wealthier family, maybe used to do something more affluent, and left that life behind, and just has this much more simple, um, meditative life. And it's just a really beautiful movie, and you have a lot of his interactions with uh, a coworker, with some younger people, kind of trying to understand the new generation. But it was just a really beautiful movie that very much touched me and feels very accurate, very real of what Japan is like now. There's a lot of working with Japanese cast and creating this movie. It doesn't feel like it's just
Yeah.
a complete outsider taking stabs at what this culture is like.
Yeah.
It really did feel like a
Hmm.
great slice of life movie. So, um, but yeah, just I enjoyed it in general a lot, but it's definitely that satisfaction of a director who hasn't had this much success in decades finally does
Yeah.
again. So always happy
Yeah.
to see that. Yeah.
It's cool. It's like almost through another passion too of his photography, like, and they're so
Yeah.
close. I mean, they're one and the same almost in
Right.
film and photography. So that's nice. That's a
Mhm.
wonderful story.
Yeah, and he's Finn Vendors is a particular fan of Hishiro Uzo, I believe is the first name. Uzo, the Japanese director who's also fantastic. We'll eventually cover. So you see a lot of that influence, particularly, come out in this movie. So
Cool. Very
yeah,
nice. Yeah, we love a slice of life.
yeah,
Very, very much so. They're underrated too. Like they're not done as much.
right.
They're out of maybe they're out of style, I guess is possibly
I
it.
think
But
so,
yeah,
but they're beautiful
and not like a
movies.
dig. They should be
Yeah,
created. They're just
right.
out of what's making money right now. Is what
Yeah.
that means basically. So that's
Hmm.
great. That's great to hear. All right, we're all the way up. I'm on my number
Yeah.
one pick here.
All right.
And maybe we'll have some crossover. I'm wondering, Seth, but my number one
Yeah.
is 2024. It ended up with Nosferatu by Robert
All
Eggers.
right.
I'm sure it was a lot of everybody's anticipated
Yeah.
movies. It certainly was for me. I am just gonna watch anything and everything Robert Eggers makes.
Mhm.
Include this is like this could have been if I could have picked a movie, it would have been this one for him to make. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
another remake, funnily enough, but
All right.
I I also love I'm like behind the scenes person. I watched a behind the scenes of it. He said that this has been like this is a dream film for him to make. He has so much care and love for the original art of it, which
Mhm.
like you mentioned, Seth, this I think the Nosferatu that everybody is like knows of
Mhm.
the very early either maybe like 20s or
The 20s.
30s,
Hmm.
the 20s one. That
20s.
I want to was that a remake or like it in other words,
No,
it has been that was the first.
that was the first. I think, and that's. I don't think it was the first vampire movie. I think there's been some lost vampire movies, but that's one of the first popular
Yes.
ones. It was nearly lost because he was Being Murnau was sued by the estate of Bram Stoker
Oh, yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
Dracula. So it's actually kind of
Yep.
a miracle we still have copies of Nosferatu.
Yeah, really.
And then
Like
Herzog did a
on
version of
Prime.
Nosferatu in the 70s. Yeah, yeah,
That's whatever. So there have been iterations and iterations of this
yes,
movie.
yeah.
I still excited for it. I don't know. I was so excited for by seeing the trailer, and to me it didn't disappoint. I don't know if it's not. I kind of go back and forth with it. It being like my favorite Robert, I think it's not. Basically,
Sure.
I love
Yeah.
the. I really loved The Witch. Like I can't believe that that was his
Mm,
first, his debut. That is such a
right.
good like film, and I get that it's very simple. I think what we're seeing in this movie that I really enjoy and everybody does too is that he's getting to because he's like so competent and is kind of a hotshot director right now.
Hmm.
I am enjoying seeing his world expand and like what he can do with
Yeah.
more budget. And I think this is like a perfect example of that. We get to see a bit like they also apparently created the town that we're like the town is a
Oh,
set.
that's cool.
It is
Wow, I didn't know that.
fully soundstage. Like they couldn't find anything that looked the way that he wanted, so he built it, and I think it looks
Wow.
absolutely amazing. You can kind of like it you are transported so much so in this movie and people tout its atmosphericness and
Hmm.
like just from set to I think the way that it was shot, the way that it was like edited, everything is atmospheric about this and it is really like it I hope to read a script of this because it seems so true to what like gothic it felt like a gothic novel just perfectly executed on
Yeah,
screen, basically, which Seth and I got to read in our in our studies,
that's
and
right.
I just it throws you right back. So I do hope to read the script for this. I think it'll be like a fun
Yeah.
exercise. But everybody's just heavy hitting in this. Like Nicholas Hoult is a really fantastic actor. I forget how good he is.
Yeah.
Lily Rose Depp is like doing so much in this and I'm excited for her. I think she does literally a fantastic job. It's kind of it is a little like I'm in like a weird like moral place of this is a very like antiquated story of women
Hmm.
like being entranced by things that are bad for you kind of thing. And so I'm in a
Right.
place of like I don't it's hard to And it's it is just so male dominated. I do feel as though
Mhm.
like the male gaze is like highly used in this, but it doesn't, like, of course it is, you know. Like, I wrestle back and forth with like, I totally get it that this is for the story, but like, do we do I want to keep seeing that and like keep accolading that
Mhm.
aspect of it? And I will, and I love this movie. Like I said, I just can't get past it. But
Yeah.
so I'm in like a weird place of that, but I enjoyed the plot a lot. I thought it was very it wasn't like sensationalized at all, or like I thought that it was very accurate to what could
Mhm.
happen. And the only aspect that I wish was talked about more, that I think Eggers does such a good job in, is like the lore aspect, like because I love the lore of the um the places that he
The
chooses
Witch.
to showcase. Yeah, like the witch.
Yeah.
I
And The
want to
Lighthouse
know
gets a
like
lot of lore too. Yeah.
exactly. Like I want to know the
Yeah.
semantics of like what
Mm.
kind of Dracula is he? What kind of like what
Right.
are the parameters of this world that he lives in? And this is
Mhm.
more so a fleshed out story of like a kind of like a tall tale, or a
Mhm.
um yeah, like a local fiction,
Sure.
local.
Folklore.
That's what I was thinking of. Said yes,
Yeah.
thank you,
We got
Jesus. But yeah, a local folklore that and so and it's a good story. It's very fun, but I want like
Yeah.
the semantics of of vampire lore, and it was like a little bit turned down in this.
Mm.
But still, the things that people say about it, I'm not going to say anything new. But it was just so atmospheric and so engrossing. Like I think
Yeah.
I'm just gonna watch anything Eggers makes, just to be in that world, basically. And this wasn't an exception. It was great. It was so good.
Yeah. It was a great movie. I will say I think I liked it slightly less than a lot of the people, and this is definitely a
Hmm.
me specific problem of just because I really like the first two versions of Nosferatu. I particularly
Yes.
really like Herzog's version, and
Yeah.
also there's the movie Shadow the Vampire. I'm blanking on the director, but that is a fictionalized version of the making of the original Murnau. Um,
That's cool. Hmm.
and in that movie, Willem Dafoe plays Max Schreck, the actor who's the vampire, who is in this movie an actual vampire. So there's a lot of like Willem Dafoe's been in this kind of movie before.
Right.
So there's a lot of like distractions of me for me. And like Lee Rose Depp was very open about her performance being largely influenced by Isabella Johnny in
Hmm.
Possession.
Okay.
And Possession's another weird movie that I like, but Isabella Johnny is in the Mina character in the Herzog version. So there's a kind of like these weird things that just kind of kept reminding
Yeah, yeah.
me as just a film goer that were distracting, that like it's not necessarily wrong. Like there's no mistakes here. That just no, I thought it was a great movie. I thought everyone was really good in it. I see what you're saying too about um the portrayal of the female gaze, the male gaze, sorry, and etc. And there on the one hand, I like that we're discussing, especially this antiquated story of
Yeah.
the fear that men have of female sexuality. You know, I
Yeah,
think,
that's true.
and ultimately
Hmm.
her, agency that she has in this. But spoiler alerts, it's Dracula. It's worth Nosferatu. She doesn't make it. So
Yeah, yeah.
this film starts. So it's kind of like she's empowered, but it's more of a Joan of Arc type of thing. And so,
Yeah. Hmm.
um,
Sacrificial lamb, like
yeah.
esque.
And I think because there's already so many variances made from the original Nosferatu to
Hmm.
Herzog's and to just like Dracula in general. On the one hand, it's like that could have changed. I think like
Yeah.
what elements are sacred for just still being Nosferatu.
Hmm.
And but I thought she was really great. And I have never seen her in anything before, so I was happy to see that.
Me either. Yep.
Um, I think it's the best Nicholas Hoult has been in something since Fury Road, actually. I think he's a good actor, but I think it's just like his
Yeah.
best role. And that I don't have like another pull. I think he's been in movies that are fine. They're just not this good,
Yeah.
and his roles haven't been this challenging. Where this is a complicated role for him that I kind of frankly didn't know he had it in him. I thought he was really great,
Yeah.
and of course Defoe. Always fun to see him. So
I know. Yeah,
yeah.
I know. Defoe's character almost I wanted even a little crazier. Like I think things were kind
Mm-hmm.
of like we're kind of tied in a
Yeah.
bow in this one a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, and I want like crazy. Like I like the guy like drawing on the floor naked. Like I want the
Yeah,
crazy
yeah,
occult
yeah.
vibes. And I think that
Right.
Dracula lore is crazier than kind of like what
That's
was
true.
going on.
Hmm.
From I don't know everything, but from what I kind of know, it could have been basically. But
Yeah.
still, it was palatable. This one was
Right.
palatable.
It's interesting as for I fully agree with you. Like I wanted more, especially like yeah, the lighthouse does get a lot into marine lore and
Yeah.
which
Hmm.
and even the uh Norsemen. So I was kind of hoping
Yes,
for it's something that Eggers in particular is so good at doing,
I know.
that I was hoping
Hmm.
for more of it. But it's also interesting to compare this to Beau is Afraid. Um,
Yep.
a director of the same generation kind of getting a bigger budget doing something, and then Beau was Afraid, I think, was just kind of studios were afraid of this insane movie and largely buried it.
Yeah.
And only like you have A-listers in there, but you don't have big draw box office draws other than Joaquin Phoenix in that movie. Whereas this is Nicholas Hoult and
Yeah.
Leroy Depp and some bigger names. So it was a huge success. And
Yes.
so on the one hand, I'm very happy for Eggers just having such a huge hit. It
True.
sounds like he's going to do a Wolfman movie in the next couple of years.
Oh wow. Hmm.
And I think he has the next two or three things already planned that are going to be other kind of classic monsters, which I know we talked about a recent Wolfman movie recently.
Yeah.
Last episode, this completely different movie. So
Yeah.
there's the fear like I don't want him to go too far off and just be doing kind of remakes of old monsters. Like I want to still do an original script again soon,
I agree. I just thought that too. Like I think it's
Yeah,
like that the lore is included is should be kind of an after effect of how good of a director he
right.
is
Yeah,
instead
yeah,
of like being the driving force.
right. And it's kind of like, well, I think he's always written screenplays. He's not written a completely original screenplay since The Lighthouse, because even The Norseman's based off a very old Icelandic tale
Yeah.
that's inspiration for Hamlet. And so, um, hoping very much enjoyed it. Really happy. It was especially that opening sequence is really amazing. It's some of the best
Yes.
cinematography I've seen in a long time. So I'm very
Right?
glad I saw it on the big screen.
Yeah.
But just goes to show, folks, you can love a movie and still have some critiques about it. It's all part of the fun. So,
Yeah. No, it's true. It's
all
true.
right. um, all right. Finish my number one for
Number
this
one.
year. Hundreds of Beavers. Have you heard of this movie?
I have heard of this movie.
Have you? I think you would love this movie. Have you? I take it you have not seen it.
I haven't seen it, but
Okay.
I watched another YouTuber and this was
Yeah.
his number one.
Okay. This is written directed by Mike Chelsick, uh, and also written by Raylan Tooze. I believe some local to Wisconsin guys. Shot around
Oh,
here in Wisconsin. I'm in Milwaukee. I think some of this was shot in Brown Deer, also shot in Michigan. But this is
yay.
a full-on, almost entirely silent slapstick movie. This is a crazy. It looks beautiful, and it's there is some really impressive, great-looking practical and special effects in this movie. But the main plot here is just that a man's Applejack business is destroyed by beavers. We're talking like late
Mhm.
1800s here, and the plot is actually long. It's a longer movie than I expected, but I was never bored, and it kind of takes a while to. But the plot you might just read is just like a man gets revenge on beavers. It is a little bit more complicated than that, but effectively, it is a man needs to learn to live off the land, become a trapper, and ultimately kill hundreds of beavers. And all
Wow.
the animals are portrayed by a human in a very obvious costume, just like standing on two
That's
feet. You have,
that's what I saw.
yeah, you have great extras with their beaver costume or their rabbit costume or their wolf, whatever. And like, it's hilarious. There was so many jokes in this movie. It is like
Oh,
full on like Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, but also like very Looney Tunes logic
yep.
stuff happening.
Cute.
A very surreal, hilarious saying that I think this movie cost $150,000 to
Oh,
make,
nice.
and man, just clearly such a passion project of everyone involved in this is loving what they're doing, I assume. And
Yeah.
it's just such a joyful, weird movie that also like has a lot of great, strange, surrealist jokes. Like there's a Blinky You'll Miss It joke about how Green Day was formed. So
Oh,
some really
cute.
fun, strange. Like there's an unexpected courtroom scene in this movie, and
Mm.
I just loved it. It was just an absolute blast to watch. And this movie does occasionally come back to theaters. So, folks, if you're a
Oh,
comes to a theater near you, and you're like, "What the hell is this?" Go see it. You're gonna have a great time. So,
oh,
my number one movie. So creative, so such a punching above its weight uh,
yeah,
movie, and
nice.
yeah, and I was just laughing the whole time. So, I highly
Oh,
recommend Hundreds of Beavers.
that makes me so happy. And well, even like the locality of it too,
Yeah.
that's so nice and like it's there you can tell when things are like so lovingly homaged.
Hmm.
It's like in like not even in a cheesy way or whatever, but like there's just that nod to home and stuff. Oh, I just love that. I'm
Yeah,
excited to see
yeah.
it.
I fully agree. It's great, and yeah, just a and like unlike any other movie I've ever seen. Like it is a lot like those silent movies, but it's also
Yeah.
it's drawn from it is so clearly and so much its own thing,
Yeah.
its own device, its own beast that and I'm hoping we get more from this team
Yeah.
because it was I loved
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah, yeah. I'm excited. I literally just heard about it and
it.
but
Nice.
I'm and you're number two person, so I'm excited to
I think it's on Amazon right now, so check it out there if
Oh,
not otherwise. Yeah.
that's great. Oh, that's really exciting. Wow, we made it through, Seth.
We did another year, another list. Do you have some honorable mentions we want to shout out real quick?
I do. I like you, I think I literally have 10. And
Okay.
I tried the same to keep it to 2024. So these are
Okay.
I think I was successful. These are all 20 actually right off the top, I will say that like
Yeah.
I watched Gangs of New York for the first time, you know,
Oh, hell yeah.
just
Okay.
literally last night.
Yeah.
That movie's incredible. Like probably more
Yeah.
competent than half the movies on my top list here, but
Martin Scorsese. Yeah.
that was an incredible movie that's kind of like been my jam of the
Yeah.
historical. It reminded me of There Will Be Blood, like there was all that going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that'll be my one like not
Okay.
2024 rec, but I will rattle through
I am
here.
so happy to hear you say that. We got to do
Uh,
Scorsese soon.
I I was like, yeah, Ice Cold Take, Gangs of New York is a good movie.
Right.
But Scorsese is good, I guess. I'm really excited to watch
Yeah.
Killers of the Flower Moon soon too. I think
Yeah.
that'll be great.
Hmm.
But anyways, I will rattle through here. I'll start. We also recently just watched The Substance. Everybody's talking about The
Okay.
Substance.
Yeah.
I enjoyed. It's a wonderful movie. Like
Mm.
I appreciate so much that I kind of regret like not that it is our like an original screenplay
Hmm.
original movie horror like gonna nominated for Oscar, like it's deserving of all
Yeah.
that. I was again like struggling with the plot a little bit, or not the
Sure.
plot necessarily, but like it's not like reinventing the wheel of what it's saying, and not that every
Sure.
movie has to do that, but like I'd be kind of interested if you have you seen it yet, Seth?
Do you mind if we talk real quick? Because this is on my honorable mention list as well.
Okay,
I
but
loved
yeah,
it. So this was the
yes.
hardest movie for me to not fit in here. And
I oh, good, yeah.
I so this is a we'll give it here because we're talking a little bit deeper. This is a movie about Demi Moore is a former, I should say, she's a woman who won the Best Actor years ago, won an actual Oscar for
Yes.
that, and now is on this weekly fitness show on TV, this like jazzercise thing, and is aging. You know, is the show might get canceled. She hears about the substance, a thing you take. It's an injection, and for a week at a time, you are your younger, leaner, more beautiful, more energetic self. But you
Yes.
have to switch back every 7 days. And obviously, stuff goes wrong pretty quickly when you don't do that. But the main thing that kind of keeps being repeated here is you are one, you're not two.
Yep.
And so that's where some of the kind of confusion I think comes in as well in this movie is like how conscious is Demi
Yeah,
Moore
yeah.
versus the younger version. I'm like in the I think Margaret Qualley. How conscious
Yes.
are they when they're not there? Because there seems to be a certain level, but also a lot of surprises. But the younger version
Hmm.
very quickly starts not switching back, which deteriorates Demi Moore. But I think that obviously there's so much said about beauty standards, about
Hmm.
women's expectations of women in society. And Dennis Quaid is in here as an absolute creepy, like hilariously goonish character with these awful
Monster.
loud suits, who's
Yep.
just the worst like most disgusting. Like, I mean, the first time you see him, there's these extreme close-ups of him just munching on shrimp, and it's great. And I love that he's in this movie, but he's
Yeah.
the executive. But while you have all these beauty standards comments in here, I think it's also just so much literally about hating yourself aging, because you have
Yes.
some moments here where she runs into other the substance users that are men, and they're also going through the
Uh-huh.
same issues. And
Yeah.
so I think it's much more about self-hatred than just that. And why do you really wish you looked that way,
Yes.
and not accept where you are? So I think for me, it elevates a little bit beyond that, while also everything it says is
Mhm.
accurate. Also, I just love a body horror movie. This is a movie that gets really fucking gross, and
Yeah.
I loved it. Like, this is a as gross as any Cronenberg's ever made
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Unflinching, and that to me is just fun. So this was a
Hmm.
blast. Well, this is one of the ones I saw at the theaters, and I had a great time. So
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad you saw it in theaters. I know. Um I loved it. And it's also very campy, like
yes,
extremely
yes, it is.
campy. Like
Right.
you gotta kind of it's parody
Hmm.
esque, maybe
Hmm.
not like full parody, but yeah, I love it too. Like there's
Yeah,
everything is hitting here. It was just like there's something about like I think I almost wish it got more in, maybe it was a little more on the nose about the aging aspect or
sure.
something. I don't know what I was
Yeah.
like struggling with a little bit. I'll try to. It's so interesting.
But
Like
I
I
will
want
say
to
what
explore
you're
it
talking
more.
about is something I think a lot of people who saw it and liked it are echoing. So I think
Okay.
this is the second film by this director, I believe.
Yeah.
I apologize. Let me get her name up here.
Yeah. She's a French director, French woman.
Yeah, and give me a second here. Ooh, Coral Farge.
So yes, that sounds right.
Apologies, folks.
I'm
French
not
is
gonna.
not my
I won't
specialty.
get it right.
um,
Yeah.
so I don't want to say, oh, this. I don't want to be diminishing and say, oh, this new director messed up. But
Oh,
yeah,
not
we
at
just
all.
talked about how great, Martin Scorsese, etc. This is a second film, so maybe
Yeah.
there's some things that are a bit lacking
Yeah.
in it, and maybe not, because I think we're talking about it, and there's definitely an element to go back to Cronenberg, of David Cronenberg specifically. I mean, I want to say that because his kids make movies, uh, of having a really gross movie that might seem to have a very on the nose subject, but also has
Hmm.
some interesting questions. Like, well, what did this exactly mean? I think that's part of the point, is it not being too clear cut.
Yeah.
The Brood
Very
is a
fair.
movie I was very close to including here, and one we'll talk about more eventually. But like, it's very obviously about divorce. He's very
Yeah.
open about your distrust of a psychiatrist as well. But like, that movie is not really clear cut exactly, and you can't just say, oh, this movie obviously is saying blank. So I like that the
Nice.
substance has that element.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot to talk about. I'm glad
Yeah,
that it's our a joint honorable
great.
mention here at the top. That's great.
Yeah,
We'll
absolutely.
we'll got to talk about it more. But yeah,
No,
I'll rattle through the rest because these are just
sure.
like they were great. I really enjoyed them in most of them in theaters. And
Mhm.
all from 2024, I believe.
Great.
So I kind of did it somewhat in order. So I put the first Omen. That was a really good horror movie
Right.
that we
Right.
saw. Challengers was great. I love that director so much. I'm gonna see
Mm.
everything that he does too, basically. I recently watched Saturday Night. That's on Netflix now. That was really
Oh, fun.
good. I'm a Saturday Night fan. The Wild Robot. I put
Mm.
Alien Romulus on here. That was a great like
Okay. Yeah,
addition.
yeah.
Twisters, Deadpool and Wolverine. I did
Mm.
enjoy. One that I want to talk about a little more
Sure.
later on down the line or something is Late Night with the Devil. That was a really good indie horror that I forget if we talked about it on the show, Seth, but
I don't
it
know if
was
we
good.
have,
Like
but I do
it
want to see that one still.
original screenplay and everything like that. So I think you'll like it a lot. And then
Great.
I believe I recommended Dee Dee was a Fremont based
Yes.
filmed movie. It was great. Like I'm just it was a perfect indie like for me, just a perfect indie darling, and that it was my hometown really warms my heart and is very nostalgic for like literally me, like specifically 12-year-old me. So that was so much fun. But yeah, those are my top of 2024.
Great. And two that I forgot I should mention, and these are we're going. All right, so for 2024 specifically, I also want to mention Conclave. I really liked that.
Okay.
That is a really fun kind of costume drama political thriller. It is about the Pope has died and the process to elect the new Pope. It has a fun, it has a Shakespeare element. By that I mean there's a sense of almost camp and silliness because it is essentially a costume drama, right? Because everyone is
Okay.
wearing their robes as either nuns or
Nice.
bishops in a way that I don't mean to be dismissive of that, but for me as a non-Catholic, it kind of looks silly and it's kind of leaned into a few times. Like there's some kind of surprisingly silly, petty things that happen in this movie.
Okay, cool.
But it is also political intrigue. It's everyone's vying for this. It's the lies that spread. It's the secrets that are hidden, the secrets that need
Okay.
to remain hidden, and all of that. And it's just like a great actors movie. I'll already mentioned Isabella Rossellini's great in here as the head nun. Stanley Tucci's fantastic, and
Yeah, yeah.
Ray Fiennes is great. Everyone, John Lithgow is really good in this too. So,
Oh, nice.
um, and it did not go the way I expected. And then,
Okay. I'm about halfway
um,
through. I want to
okay,
finish it. Yeah.
yeah,
It was a slow burn for me
it's
for some,
slow
but
for sure.
it's
Yeah.
it's my own issue, so I'm excited.
It is not as riveting as Gladiator 2, I imagine.
Okay.
So,
That makes sense.
I also really liked those. They came out much earlier in 2024, but those short films from Wes Anderson, he did like 4 or 5 Roald Dahl adaptions, and
Well,
those were really fun. Those are on Netflix, and
nice.
the main one is the Incredible Life of Henry Sugar, I think. But they're all
Oh,
around
yeah, yeah,
20
yeah.
minutes, some are shorter. Yeah, but
Mhm.
those are just really fun, and excited to see what he's doing next. I know he has another movie coming out, and then 2 movies that are on the cusp. Where I think these might have actually been 2023. Were uh, Poor Things. I finally saw Yorgos Lanthimos movie, and turns out,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I do love this. This is great,
Oh,
and
good.
excited to watch more. I've only seen Dogtooth, which is I loved and an absolutely insane movie. I can't feel like now I've watched that I can watch anything. It's like,
Wow.
um, and then Passages was a French movie that came out. I think in America might have come out 24. It might be 2023, but this is a French
Hmm.
American. Ira Shawks is the director, but this is about a gay couple whose relationship starts to be affected when one member, who's a director of the movie, starts having an affair with a woman,
Mm.
and it's just a really fascinating, again, kind of slice of life, but much more messy. And
Yeah.
this lead actor who I've never seen before, Franz Rogowski, German actor, is just this great, unapologetic terrible person who's very captivating, who's very selfish, and like
Yep.
you cannot believe the lies he thinks he can get away with in this movie, and like the callousness he had. It was just really fascinating to watch,
Cool.
and I loved it. So
Nice.
those would be mine. But folks, a lot of great movies came out. I guess the other question is any movies you're most excited to see in 2025? I didn't
I
want to prep you
haven't
for that
gone
one, but yeah.
No, I haven't gone through my rabbit hole of like my
Yeah.
trailer watching typically. And there's been some horrors that are like pretty that
Mm,
look pretty intriguing. Uh, I feel like the top of the year is kind of saturated with some horror movies.
yeah.
So I'm excited for that. I know there are some I haven't done my homework for my 2025 top list, but I was gonna say I need to also just be more. I tout. I love going to the theater, but typically I'm going
Mhm.
for two. You bring your spouse to
Yeah,
the theater, and you kind
right.
of find more palatable movies. Maybe is what how I would say
Mm.
it. And I need the weird stuff, so I'm gonna like be better about seeing. Trying to go for the heavy hitters that I maybe missed. Like I know Anora, I think it was called, or was one that
Nora, I
I really
definitely want to see. Yeah,
I
that's
wanted
maybe
to
my
see
biggest. And I've never
as
seen a
well.
single Sean Baker movie, and I've heard he's great. So
Yeah, yeah. So
that's
that's a
a deep dive to make this year.
yeah, quick example of like
Mm,
I want to get out there more myself. So these are just kind of like what these are truly what I saw in 2024.
right.
So that's my I'm honest here.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'll mention Mickey 17. Very excited to see that the new Bong Joon-ho movie with
Okay.
Robert Pattinson. A movie that got delayed several times, but it does sound like it was concerning there whether or not the director got final cut. Sounds like they do. And then maybe this technically came out last year, but it's just now available more readily, is Queer, the Luca Guadagnino and Les
Yes.
Burrows adaptation, which I'm very
Yep.
excited for, and Daniel Craig is in that.
Hmm.
I
That's a good
just
one.
like he went so quickly, and I think maybe because while he was doing Bond movies, he would do some other good, interesting movies. Like he did Logan Lucky, I think, in between a few Bond movies. So that like
Yep.
he so quickly went into doing other like great lead roles
Yeah.
after being in a franchise, which I don't know. Take hint, Marvel folk. You can do some
Yeah.
other stuff on the side, hopefully.
Yeah,
It's
really.
Bond, for Christ's sake. So um excited that he's very quickly established his kind of post Bond career and doing these interesting movies like this. And I've only seen a Call Me by Your Name. I did really like it, so I'm excited to watch more Guadagnino movies.
I know. I like the way that he directs a
Yeah,
lot. Challengers was good if you haven't seen that
I will
either.
check that
So
out too.
yeah,
Excited.
it was good. Hmm.
All right, folks. Those are our favorites. What are yours? Let us know.
Yeah.
What did we miss? What did we say that specifically angered you? Go ahead and tell us in the comments. We could
Specifically
use the
angered.
engagement. Yeah.
Please.
Uh, please. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, we hope you watch these movies and like them.
Yeah. We're excited to do it again next year.
Right. All right,
All
folks.
right.